So last year, near the end of the school year, Vincent Peachy, an 8th grade boy, which meant he fell between me in 9th grade and my brother Dante in 7th grade, was found dead in his bed one morning. And there was no reason for it. An autopsy was run, and basically came away that he was a perfectly healthy boy, other than the fact that he wasn't breathing anymore, he was dead. And there was no explanation for this, right? He had so much potential. It seemed like so much life, and then one morning he was gone. But part of my coping with that was the writing of what I then later labeled Vincent's theme, dedicated to him. I remember sitting in a living room like space that we have after talking to Mom a bit about how this had gone, and I kind of started looping this theme. After a while you'd think I would get bored of it, but I looped it for more than 20 minutes, I think. There wasn't any fancy chords like I added later to the final rendition of Vincent's theme that I later perfected. But it was just that, over and over and over again. And I just sat there and played, and I loved it. It didn't get old. And so I took that then and turned it into Vincent's theme. I added some other verses and a climax and more bright verses, I guess. So my dad was commissioned by Faith Mennonite High School to write a song for them for their upcoming choral fest, which I would actually get to sing in with my high school. And he came to me and asked if he could use Vincent's theme as like a base for his song that he would then build off of and get a full choral arrangement. And I was very open to the idea. The issue was that with how my handpan pieces are written, they're all in my head, right? There's none, I don't have anything on paper, and Great Is Your Faithfulness actually would end up being the only thing thus far that I've had notated in any form. And inconveniently, I had not played Vincent's theme for a couple months when he came and asked me. It was gone, like there was nothing left. I could remember how it felt to play it. I could remember that I started here and progressed up here, and it came, and I could remember that there was this great melody that I loved so much, and it was simple, and it was great. But I had none of it, and so that was not fun. But I decided that surely I can't just have forgotten it. Sure enough, one night I was showering, came back to me just the simple the Vincent's theme, and I felt like I'd had an epiphany or something. I quick finished my shower and ran out and got the pen and a phone and recorded it, and got it set in stone basically so that I wouldn't lose this again. And the next day came back, and sure enough, I had remembered it, basically all of it actually, including the more complex, the brighter chords, the verses, and it was basically all back. So then, after that, kind of perfected it, gave it to Dad, and he took it and turned it into Great Is Your Faithfulness, which ended up being what was used then for the Choral Fest commission. So in the making of Great Is Your Faithfulness, Dad took text from the Latin Vulgate, Vincenti dabo ed re del ligno vitae, to the one who conquers, I will grant to eat of the tree of eternal life. And that ends up being the kind of Dad's theme in the song, is the Latin. When our two songs mix, mine is the classic Vincent's theme, and then the Latin and other texts involved often show Dad's work there. And so Dad took Vincent's theme, turned it into Great Is Your Faithfulness, and I love what he did with it. Like, I usually say that I had a pretty good handpan piece written out, and then Dad took it and turned it into a masterpiece. And one of my favorite subtleties of the song is it's unusual to our contemporary choral music. Is a full measure of silence in a theme near the beginning, and it happens twice. And there's a very very noticeable shift in the lyrics from the two themes. So it's my soul remembers and sinks in me is the first one. My soul remembers and sinks in me, from all the poverty and the wandering and the misery mentioned at the beginning of the song. But the second measure of silence that comes back later is a very distinct change in the feel of the lyrics. And it's the my soul remembers and yet I still dare to hope. And it goes into a climactic chorus there, one of many actually, in the whole song. And it's a great twist in lyrics that shows a turning from the my soul sinks in me when I see all this, yet I still dare to hope, is a very powerful shift. And Vincent's name actually ties in really well with the Latin text that Dad chose. Vincent means conqueror, and that you can see that in the Vincenti Dabo, to the one who conquers, is what the Latin text there means. To the one who conquers, I will grant to eat of the tree of eternal life. And with that idea of conquering is that in my flesh I shall see God. Even after we're dead, in our flesh we shall see God. And so this is the peace that inspired Great Is Your Faithfulness.